And now it's time for our featured story of the night. All right, everybody, it's time for us to talk about something that's been going around the news for a while here. And of course, there's controversy with this. A lot of people are playing this. Okay, and this is where it's a video game, but there's a lot of stuff besides it being a video game. I want to talk about Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy. Now, this game just came out on PlayStation. It's also coming out I think it's end of February for other platforms. But the biggest problem with this game is what it represents and who it's giving money to and who it's funding, I should say. That's the biggest problem. Now, people are like, it's a Harry Potter game. Yeah, it's a Harry Potter game, but Harry Potter's not what Harry Potter used to be because of one individual we like to call J.K. Rowling. Now, unfortunately, J.K. is not the person that we thought she was. And she's saying, oh, no, I have a podcast coming out, and I'm going to explain myself. They misread me and all this bullshit, and I don't believe it. I don't believe a fucking shit she says. I see what you're doing, JK. I see what you're thinking, and I see where your motives are and where everything comes to this. I see what you're doing, and I see what you're trying to push. And pushing an agenda when you have a kid's project like this is bullshit for me. Like, honestly, you wrote this, you had a successful series, end of the day, let it lie. Who are you to be like, pushing your and this is a lot of people do sometimes. They push their fucking values and their thoughts on people when they should just shut the fuck up and let people enjoy their entertainment. That's it. You created something great. You made a lot of fucking money. You were poor. You were in your car. You had nothing. All right. You entertained the world. Leave it at that. Let your legacy be that. But instead, nope. She wants to be greedy and she wants to be an asshole towards people and she wants to separate people and segregate people. And that's bullshit. And I want to talk to Lexi about this because Lexi, this has been the news. And it's something that you brought up to me, and I'm like, we need to talk about this in the program. I'd love to have you on to talk about it. What's your feelings about this series? And I know you've had some problems with it because of people around you too. What do you think about this Harry Potter Legacy, Hogwarts Legacy, and the impact it's having on society?
Well, the issue is not necessarily, okay. I was going to say the issue is not necessarily the game itself, but rather the support of Harry Potter as a franchise, because by supporting Harry Potter, you support J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling has come out as a TERF. A TERF stands for trans exclusionary radical feminist. It's an agenda where you want to stop trans people from having rights and having an ability to live and function in society. J.K. Rowling has made billions off of the Harry Potter franchise. She has a really solid contract with like Warner Brothers, and it makes a lot of money. She gets a kickback from every single thing Harry Potter. She's heavily involved in every single aspect of it. She has a hand in like everything right down to this game and the merchandise and the Harry Potter land at Universal Studios. She was, key into the creation of and all that. So it's not a lot of creators that get that level of control, and you want to give her kudos in that regard, because how many creators get that level of creative control and that? But she's using her money to fund anti-trans legislation in the UK and wherever she can. She gives a platform to anti-trans voices. She's become, friends with people like Matt Walsh and Ben Shapiro, and she goes on their programs and talks to them, and those are hard right-leaning propaganda machines that have, hard agendas against the LGBTQ community and the trans community. And she created a women's shelter specifically after tearing down a pre-existing women's shelter that was already there, specifically for the purpose of creating a women's shelter that is anti-trans, and in its inclusion. So all of the money that she's gaining from these books, she's investing heavily into, it's not light, like, she wants us dead. She wants my community and the people of my community. She doesn't want us to exist. She wants to kill us. She doesn't want us to have health care. She doesn't want us to have right. She doesn't want us to exist. And she has an agenda, and she's pushing that agenda through Harry Potter. And so, by purchasing this game, or anything Harry Potter, it's not just about this game. If you buy a pencil, or a t shirt, or one of her books, or a teddy bear, or anything relating to Harry Potter, she's getting a cut of that money. That money is going back to J.K. Rowling, and she is using that money for anti trans legislation. On top of all of that, the game itself is incredibly anti Semitic. It is full of anti Semitic uh, content. The goblins that she has created in the Harry Potter world are directly based off of anti Semitic artwork from the Nazi era. The drawings that they used for anti Semitic rhetoric are direct copies of how she's designed her goblins. The game is about going and collecting slaves. They use literal Jewish artifacts in the game as goblin artifacts. There are a lot of people in the Jewish community who are very angry about this. One of such is Jon Stewart himself. So it's not just a few angry, individuals on Twitter. Like, there are celebrities who are angry about this too. Her books are full of racist character names. Her books are full of racist content. As it's all kind of come to light. And the thing is that a lot of people in the trans community latched onto these books when they were growing up because the characters, the content, the storytelling had, the kind of stuff that make you feel that you could possibly transition and that you could feel like the magic could help you. And, a lot of these people grew up with this stuff and it helped them through these times. And to have the person who made something that helped you when you were young and struggling to turn to you and say, like, I didn't make this for you. I did not just make this for you, but that, like, if you're into my works, you're also in agreement with my thought process. And if you like me and you like my work, then you agree with me. And I'm going to go on Twitter and I'm going to keep making these statements. There's a YouTuber that I follow. Her name is Jessie Gender, and I'm just going to keep pimping her anytime I get the opportunity to. Please go watch her content. She's done a wonderful video series about this and how she uses her money and how she influences people with her power and what have you. But the thing is that the game itself has become kind of a stepping stone for controversy because people were like, don't buy the game. And it's like, yeah, don't buy the game. That is correct. Like, excuse me.
Oh, you're all good.
It's not about don't buy the game. We're not telling you what to do. What we're saying is that as members of the trans community, if you buy this game, you're not supportive of us. And that you can't call yourself an ally if you're still investing in and supporting Harry Potter. And that for us as trans people, and for other people too who are trying to take a stand against this, for the Jewish community, for anybody who's been stepped on by J.K. Rowling and in these moments, that this work of fiction has now become, it's become sort of a catalyst of hatred, and it's a tool that's being used now. And if you think that in the coming months, when the election starts coming up, that people on the right are not going to start using Harry Potter imagery on their Trump marches and their shit like that, be shocked, because it's coming. Because it has now become a tool of the right, because they are using this game as an excuse, because we are being victimized. And so they're going, oh, look at the trans people complaining now. Look at them. Look what the right, or look what the left's doing. Look at the left's trying to take your Harry Potter away from you. The trans people are trying to take Harry Potter away from you.
That's
Do you want to lose
that's
your
bullshit.
childhood? Do you want to lose it? So if you want to stand up to the left and you don't want to lose that, you got your Tucker Carlson coming in and giving his rhetoric on it and that coming in on it. And so it's not about a wizard in a school or any of that. It's all irrelevant. It's an IP that has now become a tool of the right to use as a weapon against people who are being oppressed. And a woman who is using the money that she gains from it to influence and empower herself and a community of people who want to destroy our lives. And
Yeah,
if you invest in Harry Potter, you are not an ally of the trans community. And if that's okay with you, have at it, man. Play your Harry Potter game. Do your thing. That's cool. You can have at it. We don't need you anyway. That's cool. But if you want to be an ally and you want to be with us, you have to give up your Harry Potter. And we're
I,
sorry. Like,
it should never came to this, so Lexi. Like I said before, like how did she? It's like she's always had this agenda before, and the idea of taking your agenda and pushing it on your people and your fans and stuff when you've done so you've been so successful making this series, right? And how, like you're saying, how many kids grew up watching this and loving these characters, reading these books, falling in love with it, and thinking that she's representing all of us. I mean, and that's the
right.
problem. And all of a sudden she's like, no, fuck this group of people. Like that's not right. It's not right. And I don't understand like how people think that you create something like this and then you all of a sudden you can just like have a voice to tell people no, you shouldn't be like this. Like it's ignorant. It's fucking ignorant. And this person, like they still, and then she's still represented, and people still give her a platform, and people still give her opportunity and money. Like I don't know what the solution is with Warner Brothers. What can they do in this situation? Then they can cut ties with her somehow. I don't
Warner
know.
Brothers doesn't give a shit. Warner Brothers is making how much money off of this?
It's they say they
Like,
want to reboot Harry Potter.
that's the thing. Like when we say like don't go don't talk about it. Like we're like don't talk about it. Don't go online and talk about it. The thing with the live streamers, like okay, if you're familiar with Hassan Piker is a major YouTuber. He went on and he did a live stream, and in his live stream he said, "We're gonna pass all of our money that we earn from this live stream on to a transgender community." That's great. That's great that you want to donate the money from it. You're still talking about Harry Potter. You're still talking about the game. The point of it is that when you talk about the game, Warner Brothers hears about the game. Warner Brothers goes, "Cool, profit." All they see is profit. They're a major studio. They're not going to see that profit from M. Night Shyamalan, but they're
They
going to
will
see it
not.
from Harry Potter. So, because Harry Potter is a multi-billion dollar franchise, and as long as they know that they can keep turning out hats and shirts and video games and shit with Harry Potter on it and whatever, they're going to keep doing it. And as long as you keep buying it, they're going to keep doing it. And as long as they keep doing it, she's going to keep getting a cut. And every time she gets a cut, she's going to take that money and she's going to go to the government and she's going to invest in further infrastructure to stop us, and she's going to start more podcasts where she can go on and spew more nonsense, and she's going to write more bullshit books. She has a whole other book series that nobody talks about that's an entire anti-trans book series, and she's going to keep, having the freedom to be a bad person while she lives in a literal castle in Scotland or wherever the fuck it is, while she, is handed
Yeah.
all this money from what is essentially a racist, anti-Semitic book series where she takes a bunch of Jewish people that run the banks and treats them like shit, and has a bunch of slaves that treats them like shit, and takes Asian people's from two different languages and sticks their names together and creates half-cocked names and just offends a bunch of people, and nobody questions it, nobody says anything about it because there's some magic and candy and the candy makes you sick, and who fucking cares? Like I don't give a shit. And like I didn't give a shit about Harry Potter anyway. I'm a 40-year-old person. Like I don't give a fuck about Harry Potter. This was not for my age group to begin with. Like I never cared about it anyway, so it didn't affect me to begin with. But I completely understand and respect like a younger generation of kids who grew up with this, I watched this become what it became. Like I watched it grow into the multi-billion-dollar franchise. So, it is what it is. You can disagree with me if you want, Chris. Your kid could love the game if you want, but it does mean that you're not an ally for purchasing the game. It is what it is. You're investing money into her things. Every time you buy something for Harry Potter, you're investing into anti-trans legislation. And that's final. It is what it is.
And she has that series. It's called Troubled Blood, where it's about a guy, pretty much murdering people, murdering women, but he disguises himself as a female. He plays like he's trans, but he's not, and he goes into like bathrooms and murders people or something. I mean, I read this and I was like, this is a thing. This is
I'm
something
sorry,
that she
what?
created. Yeah, that's a book she
Yeah, she
wrote.
did that.
Yeah, back in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you just give me that recap again?
it's a serial killer who dresses as a woman, and so he can carry out and murder other women.
Oh, that makes perfect sense because in 2022, she was very upset that in Scotland they were going to make it legal or okay to change your gender assigned birth at after you've had a reassignment surgery and have lived in your new gender for 3 months. And she is very upset about that because one of the reasons, which I thought was fucking hilarious, is that I shit you not, she cited 90% of changing room offenses, like changing room assaults. Like, by the way, how many times you go to a changing room anywhere that it's unisex? Okay, never. She's like, in a unisex changing room, that's where 90% of assaults happen in changing rooms. There are no unisex fucking changing rooms. Like, what are you even saying? Like, and even if
Well,
there was, like,
they're family changing rooms, which
Yeah,
if anything's happening
that's
there, then it's happening with your family, and that
within
goes
the
back
family.
100% not
that
what she's saying.
Whole
that
different
a
story.
large amount
Unisex
of
because
right.
a trans person who is reassigned to be a woman that's actually a man is going to come in and assault a woman who's a woman or a man who's a man. Like, it literally makes no sense. Like,
Well,
I
that's
read it and I was
because
like, I read it 4 times and I was like, I don't fucking understand what you're saying. Like,
that's
I
because
really don't understand what she's saying.
it's because that a by social standards, a woman is a sexual object first, and they are a procreation object secondary. Correct? That's how it works. So if a woman transitions into a man, obviously, right? Because why wouldn't you want that? You want the power, you want the dynamic, you want those things. You're giving up the ability to procreate, but obviously you want those dynamics. A man who chooses the action of transitioning into a woman, clearly the only action that they are trying to create is to sexualize themselves. So the course of action that a man who becomes a woman is taking is to sexualize. And therefore, a trans woman is sexualizing themselves, and therefore their actions are only going to be sexual because there is no ability to procreate.
No, but it's
And so
not. It's
that's
not
the
even. I don't think it's sexualizing themselves. I think it's like it's allowing themselves to become more of a predator disguised as a woman, which is
but
the
that's the
most tone
thought
deaf and
process.
ridiculous fucking thing that I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
But that's the
Like,
it's
thought
insane.
process of
honestly,
the right. Like when you listen to people like Matt Walsh and you listen to people like Ben Shapiro, that's the rhetoric that they're feeding. Is that by the definition of the social standard of what a woman should be, by the hard right leaning standard, that a woman is a sexual object first and an object of procreation second, that a man who chooses to turn into a woman is obviously only choosing to be a sexual object. And so their only action is to be sexual, and therefore all their actions going into a woman's bathroom is to sexually engage with whatever's in there, is to sexually engage with whatever's out there. All we are doing
so
is going, I'm just a
absurd.
big old whore, the big old
Yeah,
whore running
big
around
old
trying to
whore.
sexualize everything.
I know plenty of whores who aren't trans, by the way. So let's
Yeah,
dial that theory back, okay?
I
As
mean,
a matter of
come.
fact, most of the whores I know aren't trans, okay?
Yeah,
So fuck off, suck a dick, and get your shit together, lady. Like, I
I
cannot
just.
with her. I
Yeah,
cannot. I'm
how
so
do you?
frustrated. She somehow escaped all of this, like back in 2019, 2020, like when it first kind of came out. But like I don't know. I read this most recent thing that she did the most recent, like she actually, I might alert people to this. She has her own website, and then she has a part of her website that is called In My Own Words. And In My Own Words can hang herself with what she says. It's actually, I read Twitter stuff, and I read this, but then I read In Her Own Words, and it made me like her 100% less. So if you have any questions about how you feel about this person and how she is behaving, I think you should read what she says in her own words, because it's pretty fucking damning, honestly. In her own words made me feel uncomfortable. It made me feel confused, and it made me feel appalled by the fact that you think it's okay to say this shit in your own words in 2022 because you are who you are. Go fuck yourself.
It's like, exactly what you just said, Sabrina. It's because it's like who she thinks she is, and that's what it comes down to. She's like, I made Harry Potter, so I'll bow down to my
ideals. I'm not
ideals.
trying to be a cunt, but you lived in your fucking car. It's not like you're some. I was born to royalty. I've lived my whole life rich, and I feel like I've lived a different world than anyone else. Like those people, I can almost understand, because you don't know what it's like to be one of the regular people around. You know what it's like. You lived in your fucking car. You know what it's like to be a regular person. Stop being a fucking cunt, please, and thank you.
I lived in my car too. I lived in my car in the streets of Vegas.
But you're also not being a giant cunt bag. You know what I'm saying? No. My point is like, super rich people who have never, like, who have been handed everything and have no idea what it's like to be like, you know, a person who's had to work for a living, a person who's had to, you know, like struggle with stuff, like someone who has had everything handed to them. That's not who she is.
It's also the problem, though.
Even though she lives that life now.
Sabrina, it's also the problem, though. It happens in Hollywood a lot. People are like you're an actor or you're a creator. Like, why are you pushing my values on me? A lot of people, or your values on me. And a lot of people say that too. It's like, and this is what causes problems in Hollywood and in entertainment in general. Is like people like taking it a step too far. You know, at the end of the day, like, who are you to be pushing your values on the world? Who are you? Honestly, who are you? Are you affect the world now? You can affect the world though. And you can cause so many problems for people that just be by tweeting one thing or doing one thing, because you can let your asshole values get out there. We had GR just posted, he goes,
that also works on the good side as well.
It can. But that's where there's this gray area that causes problems when actors or creators or producers or entertainers step forward and do this. It's like your voice is so strong sometimes, and they don't think about it too. Or maybe with her, she does think about it. She's like, in the back of her mind, she's been wanting to push this agenda for a long time.
She thinks about it and then puts it into a 3-page essay in her own words. Like, it's appalling.
It's fucked up.
Actually, I literally
the girl that I talked about.
Go ahead.
Like the girl I talked about, Jessie Gender too. Mm-hmm. She has a subscriber count of like 3,000 subscribers or 300,000 subscribers. That's not a small count, but remember, she's 3,000 subscribers on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, when you think of who J.K. Rowling is in comparison to this trans girl, 100%. She spent her entire Christmas break being attacked by J.K. Rowling. And J.K. Rowling has now had Jen Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh and all these people rallying against her. And now these people are on their shows using their platforms to attack a 300,000 subscriber count trans girl.
Those people are not
going to ruin her life.
Anyone who's watching any of those programs is not subscribed to her YouTube page. You know what I mean?
No, but they're finding her and they're harassing her now. And that's the thing. It's like they don't have to subscribe to her to find her Twitter and harass her on her own terms.
You're 100%
and
right.
Find a way to harass her on like whatever. Like, and now she has to deal with, because she spoke out and was a voice for our community, now she has to deal with the brunt of an asshole who has more money and more power, and because she spoke up for us. And it's like, even me sitting here, I know I'm a small person, but like speaking here today, I'm putting myself out there to backlash. You know, anybody who wants to find me can find me. I have a podcast. I have all these kind of places. I'm a voice on the internet. Now people can find me and they want to talk with me. I'm not afraid of that. But, you know, it's like, the other side of that, too, is, you know, this is the best thing I ever did for myself. Being transgender is the best thing I ever did for myself. It's not easy. It's not fun. It's not like, I love transitioning. I'm not mad at it. I'm very happy. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. I have, like, the best mental health I've ever had in my entire life. I'm the best person I could possibly be. why would anybody want to take that away from me? Why would anybody want me to not be the best person that I could possibly be and in the best place in my life that I could ever be and be finally happy with who I am and finally have the ability to unleash my creativity and not be in a state of constant depression and hate myself all the time and feel all that hatred for myself that I felt for years and years and years. I spent 38 years hating myself and I finally love who I am. And you're gonna come in and you're gonna take your billions of dollars and you're gonna fucking spend that money to stop me from having a life that makes me feel good about myself because you want me to walk around with my dick out? Like, fuck you, dude. Like, you don't get to come in and say that. And
but her reasoning is so like
asinine.
what you're saying, like her reasoning is so bizarre. Like it's not even what you're saying. Like she doesn't want a man to become a woman because she's afraid that you as a woman is gonna go into a changing room and assault her. Like what the fuck? Like what are you actually even thinking? Like it doesn't
make any sense.
Like I read it 5 times, literally, like in her own words. Please, anyone listening, go read it before you judge anything that anyone is saying.
What our meetings are actually where we sit down and we discuss how we're going to indoctrinate all the children of the world. So we have a large
through Harry Potter, right?
Through Harry Potter,
week, all the
broomsticks
C's,
and Quidditch.
All the C's. Little Caleb is next on the list, right? It's the trans agenda.
GR's got your back,
like
Lexi.
That.
There we go.
And GR said that he's on the right, and he says he doesn't deal. He hates all this bullshit.
Like, don't group everyone into the same thing. And we feel you, GR. We know you're a good person. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just like I know it's not good to generalize, but there is unfortunately a large amount of people on that side that do project a certain way. It's not. And I agree with you. We shouldn't generalize, but
it's just unfortunate that this is even a conversation at all. It's unfortunate
period, for anyone anywhere.
It's 2023 and we're talking about this. It doesn't make any sense to me. And the fact that she keeps getting fuel.
I just want to make a light point. Mind your fucking business, okay?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with you. Mind your fucking business. It's just good neighboring. It's just good existing. Mind your fucking business. Okay? If it doesn't affect you, let's not worry about it. Thank you.
Whatever happened to do unto others as you want yourself? Whatever happened to that? Do unto others like you like to be treated yourself.
But mind your business, I feel like it's like a child. It's like a preschool version of do unto others. Like just mind your fucking business.
Why can't you invest your money in some owl shelters or like some cat shelters?
Yeah, come on.
Or a Dobby shelter. How about that?
Yeah.
Make your own wizard school, or I don't fucking know.
Like, right. Build a wizard school.
Yes. Oh my god, you know how much money that would make? Dude, like stop giving her ideas.
Yeah, it'll just be a trans exclusionary wizard school. It's fine.
Oh jeez.
Obviously.
But the end of the day is like, how much good could she have done with all of this? How much good, as opposed to the good that she could do, especially like with the youth of America and how she joined people together in the fantasy and the it affected so many kids. Harry Potter, like everyone knows it, and how much money she made off this, what she could have done with it, as opposed to helping the world. She's causing more problems and more diversity, which is just bullshit. It shouldn't be happening.
Less diversity.
It's just, it doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. End of the day, I wish that, she wasn't funded constantly for this, but it's gonna happen. Like you're right, Lexi, people are gonna still fund her. But then again, people aren't gonna think about it. They're just gonna play a game,
But people have been, but it's not just a game though, it's everything. And people have been a fan of hers for such a long time that like, it's hard. It's not like she's up and coming and people are like, oh, who's this Harry Potter fellow? Like it's been going on for so long that it's hard to like stop. No, Siri, no one's talking to you. It's hard for people to like, to cut the ties with something that they've, become so familiar with and have grown up with or have, really enjoyed or whatever. Like that's the difficult part with this. Because she didn't like this side didn't show up for like, so long after people are so invested in the book and the, whatever the fuck. So this video game is just I mean, it's more of the same, but it's like now we see you. You know what I mean? So it's like it's
Right.
just it's a
Yeah.
hard thing in
Hence
that
why this
respect because there is
conversation.
already a huge attachment to it, you know?
Yeah. I just hope that, you know, at the end of the day, Warner Brothers eventually does what's right. They won't, you know, probably won't, but I don't know. At least we're getting the word out. That's the biggest thing. Get the word out so
Yeah.
people know. That's all we can really do right now. And
Educate, you
hopefully
know?
she falls off a bridge one day. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Anyways,
damn, Brian.
I didn't say it.